Hello, everyone. We are back with the Cars Casually Gang. We are here this time with some friends who do the whole overland camping thing. We are going to be discussing why we should go out into the world, see the beautiful world, commune with nature, commune with the Lord, actually, honestly, and just apparently spend more money on our cars that we didn't used to do before. We are here with Nix. We are here with G. He's around somewhere. And with the Overlanding group, we've got Joel, Pedro, we've got Samuel Yuson, we've got Justin Uy. And here is Gerard.
Hi.
Or G. Okay.
Hello.
Hey, everyone.
Morning
So,
stretched.
when we started this, we first met up with Joel through Sam and Justin, and we were talking about what they did. And Justin and Joel explained to me why this is something different from the whole camping thing. So I will throw it to Joel, who is the, I guess, the voice of interest here. So Joel, tell us what it is we should be learning about, and why am I looking at toilets?
First, you should be learning about, first and foremost, is never ride Sam Lewson's FJ Cruiser. Okay, so that's the first lesson. That's the first lesson. So,
why is that?
Because, in this community, I am not the mastermind. Okay? The mastermind is, tama ba yung screen point ko? Yan.
Yeah. It's that guy over there.
It's that guy over there. Okay,
There.
so let's get it. Let's get the story straight. Okay, we're about proper media content, right? So first advice: if you have no plans on getting into overlanding or setting up cars, do not ride on the passenger side of the FJ Cruiser. So that's where it all started for me, because it's actually the truth. We went to Jungle Base once, and Aya Sam asked me to go with him. Actually, I invited myself yata, Aya Sam. I think it was something like that.
You did invite yourself.
Yeah. So let's get the story straight, right? So, and then I rode with him. This was before. We have too many stories. This is before the car broke and all that. No, Aya Sam. So we rode with him. Long story short,
before that.
we went through the mud pit, and after the mud pit, once you get through the mud pit, it's like baptism. When you get out, you come out of the mud pit. Wala
You're
na.
born again.
You're born again. No. That's how my story started, and that's really the serious part of the adventure. So everybody has a story about it. But for overlanding, I guess the term has always been there, but hasn't been officially used, because all of us once in our life has traveled, adventured, right? Even with backpacks and all that. So adventuring is not something we invented, and overlanding is not something we started. So overlanding is just a term that was coined that probably evolved from what Aya Sam started, which probably a longer time ago with off-roading and all these wheels. It's just a spin-off of that. So what basically overlanding is it's actually just adding to what already has been there. And the main difference is usually when we overland, we put a destination to the end of the fun. So sometimes when you talk about off-roading, it's just go into a mud pit and play, and that's all good and fun. There's nothing wrong with that. But after a while, some people do look for locations with the family, right? Like where you can swim in a stream or find, let's say, go up on a mountain, get a waterfall. And the main difference is now you can use your vehicle to reach those destinations. And once you get there, you can still enjoy the comforts of home. So that's where your toilets come in, the roof tents, right? Actually, roof tents is nothing spectacular. Roof tents is basically a ground tent that you put on a roof with a cushion, and the effect is you're like sleeping in a treehouse. So who doesn't want to sleep in a treehouse, right? So, that's the long and short of overlanding. But if you look at this community, what I like about it is it's actually a non-branded thing. If you like the lifestyle, you're welcome to join. And I think I appreciate that a lot. I'll turn that over to Aya Sam.
Well, Sam, I remember when you and I talked about this, and one of my questions was basically family-oriented. Is this something that you could bring your wife and kids on? And you actually told me that you spend a lot of time with your daughter doing this. Is that right?
Not a lot of times. because they're also adverse to places without toilets.
Well, but see, that's why Joel's
But Joel solved that problem.
No, Joel. There. Where's Joel? There's
There.
Joel. Okay, Joel's showing me toilets, and I'm like, before anything else, I have to bring that toilet home to say, okay, can you handle this? But okay,
Yeah.
so do you? But what I liked was it's not just going out and doing the mud pit thing like Joel said, but it's also spending an evening and a morning by a lake with no one else around.
It's really part of it is really also the driving going there because well who got me into this really is Willie Sung and
Really?
Yeah, Willie Sung and Mark Sung
And the plot thickens.
Playing game, the playing chain.
when about 8 to 10 years ago when I went with them with the Land Rover Club up to Jungle Base and I saw what an SUV was really built for.
Mhm.
And that was when I got stuck as well, and life was never the same. It became more dangerous, and you are able to go places where regular cars can't, and enjoy the scenery where a handful of people really have been because of the vehicles they use or not. So in the Philippines is filled with places like these that we can really enjoy and have fun. Yeah. So that's what all started for me.
Okay. Well, I'm going to ask you guys questions based on someone who does not know how to get started here. First question is, where are places I can go if I want to do this? Joel, I remember you were pointing out a place involved with a school.
Yep.
When I would go there, what is it that would? I mean, is it just an empty field by a lake, or are there amenities? How does that work?
Well, you talk about places. Well, let's give three perspectives now. I think where we're coming from is from Manila. So I think the ideal locations for Manila would be 3 to 4 hours. That would be the ideal drive time, just to put expectations out there. 3 to 4 hours to the north would be Zambales, maybe Yamashita Ridge, Nueva Vizcaya, and a little bit further, if you like the beach, would be Baler and Pangasinan. Those are the nearest ones. If you want to go a little further from that, then your Baguio comes in, and then your La Union come in, and a little further from that is Benguet. But that's gonna be not an overnight trip anymore. Yes, Sam.
Don't forget Pinatubo.
Right, Pinatubo. Tarlac, Pinatubo. What you were talking about, Carl, on the south is where our location is. It's called the Silent Sanctuary Reserve Campgrounds. So we just recently opened that, and this has been. I don't own this. This is an advocacy. So it's actually a property. It belongs to a deaf mute school, and it has been our family's advocacy ever since. And I've just helped them develop it into something different, so that we can help the deaf community and at the same time enjoy overlanding. So one main thing that differs this from all the normal campsites or campgrounds in the Philippines is if you travel Australia, which is my primary basis, is if you see a nice beach, what's usually in front of the beach is a nice RV park or a holiday park. And the 5-star hotels would be on a road behind those holiday parks. So that caused me to start thinking on why is that? That for in the Philippines, it's the other way around, right? If you have a very nice beach, the hotels are right smack in the beach line, and then all of the little houses are in the back. Usually, that's how our layout is. So that's where I drew inspiration from. Where actually, if you look at the adventure lifestyle, other developed countries prioritize the view for
That's correct.
or people who can just enjoy it with their vehicles, right? So this is what we've done here. But a couple of things that we lack are usually we are not catered toward vehicle-dependent glamping. We are catered to backpackers, which is not a bad thing. But vehicle-dependent glamping would need a couple of things, like any of us. If you're bringing your wife in, it's number one, first and foremost, the toilets have to be good. Meaning there has to be a shower, and you should be able to do number one and number two in comfort. Not like there's a cricket there, and you're tiptoeing around the toilet, right? Like you feel like there's a snake that's gonna bite you from the back. So there should be none of that. So that's the standard. We're not asking for luxury, but we're asking for comfort. So that's what we've developed on the reserve campground, where they're just two things. Just put that, and a shower. But the other thing, which I found a secret, if you observe a lot of other countries' RV parks, it's well lit. I can't discount that. It's well lit.
Okay.
Because I discovered that if you're entering a toilet, and why are we talking about toilets? Carly
But
started
dude,
this.
but it's a key point. It's what
Yeah, yeah.
gets people to actually go. Everything
Right.
else is fine, but
Yeah, correct. If you're entering a toilet, the last thing you want is a dark, gloomy toilet, tama? If it's
I'm
dark,
fine with that.
depends what you're doing, Nick. We're talking about camping toilets, okay? So,
Yes.
a camping toilet, you would want, di ba, if you go to a hotel, you're comfortable in a toilet because it's super well lit outside, not just inside.
Yeah.
So that's what we try to do. You feel clean if the toilet is well lit. Aside from being clean, if it's clean and it's not well lit, there's a lot of shadows. It looks dirty. So
And
what
there's
we
no
try to achieve-
surprises.
Yeah, exactly no EPs or butige or whatever. I freak out with butige. But anyway, so that's what we've tried to achieve with the SS in the reserve campground, and it's vehicle dependent, meaning you don't have to get your stuff out of your car and walk to the beach. You can park your car straight to the lagoon and sleep beside your car, sleep on a ground tent, sleep on a roof tent, sleep inside your car, cook barbecue. That's vehicle dependent glamping. So it's not necessarily just the
okay,
roof.
okay.
So
Sorry, what's the
that's
name of the
what we're
place again? What's the name of the place you're talking?
Silent Sanctuary Reserve Campground.
Okay, so you're talking, let's say, when you're talking about your drive time, right? Are you talking about is this highway drive time, or are you doing some off-road stuff?
For this particular site, it's now just cement because before it takes 6 hours to get to the property with the mud trails of Caliraya.
Okay.
It's in Pawin, by the way, but now it's you can take your van up there, you can take a sports car if you want to, and you can still do the glamping thing. But beyond the property, there's still off-road trails if that's your thing. So there's still the part of the off-road trails.
Is this the one where you went to, Joel? Just for
Yeah,
reference.
yeah.
Oh,
Okay, when you quoted 3 hours to 4 hours going north, was that mainly highway, or was that also you need an off-road vehicle to do that?
North, there are a lot of destinations like Zambales and all that without off-road. But once you enter Pinatubo, like what Sam says, definitely four-wheel drives recommended. But what we're counting that hours, no? It's hard to count the hours pag may off-road. Because we're talking about drive times. Once you get to the trail, it could be 30 minutes, it could be whole day if it's a bad condition, right?
Okay.
So
Yeah.
it's still dependent on condition.
Okay. Next question then is what kind of vehicle are we talking about? If we assume that our starting point will be something like your Silent Sanctuary, what kind of vehicle do we need to do with this? I mean, you said we could drive all the way up, so we can just bring our own regular car and camp there if we want to.
That's right. That's exactly right.
Now I've seen you set up an Outback, a Subaru Outback, which is not
Legacy.
a pickup truck. Not an Outback?
Legacy.
Really?
Legacy.
Okay, then here's a technical question. Where'd you put the rails? You added rails?
We have different. Justin, can you show Aya Sam's truck? So we have different ways of mounting. I think that's where our expertise come in. You just come in with a vehicle and then tell us what you want to do, and me and Sam just outfit it for that particular purpose. So if you want to go off-road, we'll put off-road wheels. If you want to go overlanding, we'll put all-terrain wheels, right? If you want style, we'll put 20 inches. If you want mud, what do you call it? You want more off-road capable, meaning you want to deflate more rock crawling, we'll do 17 inches. And then after we do the wheels and tires, that's where all our other gear comes in, like the roof racks, the awnings, the tents. And these, we talk about going back to the Subaru. The Outback, the Legacy doesn't have its own mounting point. So we do have clip-on solutions.
Oh, okay,
Clip-on
that's the
solutions,
one.
yeah.
Okay.
Without
got
drilling it. Yeah. So that's how we mount it.
Okay, so you're not taking. Okay, got it. Okay,
But
so
we
the
do have
Legacy is not exactly
we do
a
have gear
perfect
that you can
option.
bolt down. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Given that, would you camp on top of your Legacy? Would you put a tent on top of it?
Definitely. We've done that already. So
You have.
Yeah, it's you see the roof tents are roughly 60 to 65 kilos, which most vehicles, even I've researched it up to a Porsche 911. You can actually mount a roof tent on a Porsche 911, and we'll show you soon. We have a project. So
Okay. 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 Then, if we were going to do that, let's say, and you're starting off, let's say someone, okay, like myself, I don't really have anything that I can put on to do this. What would I buy? Would I buy a pickup truck? Would I buy an SUV? Would I buy a van? Actually, I've seen some people put this on Hiaces, and I think that's actually very smart. Or the Maxus. We were discussing doing this with the Maxus MPV.
right. I think before you look at the vehicle, ask yourself what you want to do. If you're talking, because that's the basis of purchasing the vehicle. There are so many options out there, brand new, second hand, right? So the first thing we usually ask our clients is, what do you want to do? If you want to go, like on the picture, mud pitting to get to a destination that's more remote, definitely go 4x4. And if you just want to do like beachside drive from a pavement, go ahead, get a Super Grandia or a van or whatever vehicle. Actually, it doesn't even need a van. So it still depends on what you want to do. But in our case, we usually recommend a 4x4 because we go with, ano na Sam? Better to have it when you...
And not need it.
Yeah.
How do you
Better
English
not
that?
have it.
This is too early to give quotes, Nix.
Okay. Better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it.
Yeah. There you go,
Okay.
there you go.
Okay. Well, okay. For our purposes, let's keep this talking about, rather than hardcore off-roading that you guys do. Let's put this in the framework of, we have families that want to go out and don't want to stay in hotels. So they might use the family car or the family van, the Starex, the Grandia. Let's look at it that way. Given that, what would you suggest to people? What are the options? I never, like when you set up, when we shot in your place and we saw all the things we could do very quickly. That was quite impressive. What would you have people start out with, for example? What are the comforts that you think they would need that they don't expect?
First is shade.
Yeah.
Can I share a screen?
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, shade is very important.
Yeah, I see. That's not something you would think, but it's very key that you said that.
Yeah.
Yep. So here, this is an awning.
Okay.
So this is a crucial. Here, I'm seeing the screen. Yep. I just typed up in Google. So basically, this is a side awning. So shade is the most, I think, one of the first things you will invest without spending too much. It's the biggest one we have is just 14,000. Not cheap, but not crazy expensive either, right? That's not more expensive than a big tent in a Decathlon or in ROX. So a shade mounts to your crossbar, and that will get you started with anything. You can use the shade as a bike repair if you're into biking, right? After in the side of the road, you can just pull that out. You can use that as your, Saturday barbecue on your parking lot inside your house or in your garden. Or in our purpose, that's our main shade when we go to the beach or we go to the mountains. And there, as you can see with this picture, there are a lot of attachments. You can go with a tent that can attach to the awning, and that becomes a full waterproof tent. You can go with side walls that gives you extended coverage for if you're like 3 cars, you can extend the coverage. So these are all accessories that basically just mount onto your base awning, which is the picture on your right. So there, I think that's my most basic advice.
Okay. When you said extend the coverage, do you mean extend it further out, or do you mean add another one?
With the awning wall, you can attach that to the left, to the right, or to the front. So it depends on your setup. So it just
okay. So that's fully extended now. What we see in the rightmost photo is fully extended.
This is just an awning. You see this picture on the middle with the slant to the ground? That's a wall, so that's an accessory.
Okay, got it. Okay,
yeah.
So what about the little things that, let's say if you were going to do this for the first time and you don't want to do it overnight, but you want to bring your food and so on, what would you bring along? What is it you would tell someone who's just showed up and said, I want to try this? What do I do?
I will turn the food over to Nix.
Because we actually did that. That
Okay, so
concept,
Nick,
right,
what would you
Joel?
bring? What would you suggest to
Yeah.
people?
I think, and the biggest investment you can have is a really good cooler, because it doesn't only hold the food and drinks, but it also acts like, like a sort of table, and then with the leftover melted ice, you can use it as a faucet. It's multi-use. So, like, if awning's the first thing you should get, I think the next one is the cooler, or you can actually get freezers. Like, if you go a step up.
Yeah, we've seen the freezers you've shown us, Joel.
Hmm?
When I was looking for emergency spares.
Yep.
So, okay. What else? Okay, you've
If
got
I may
drinks and
add,
you've got shade. Sorry,
if I
Sam.
may
What?
add, if I may add, the
Yes.
best thing, probably 50% of the experience is really the barbecue.
Okay.
Cast iron pan for me, baby.
Yeah.
Okay. So, what would you? Okay.
You can go from hot dogs to
Steak.
steaks to chicken. It's the
Okay,
it's
but
the
what are you cooking it on?
cooking outdoors.
What
Yeah,
is it
you
you're cooking it on?
you bring a barbecue pit and start cooking there. That's part of the experience, and it's
Yeah.
really
Okay,
Take
is
a
it a
small
particular
bowl.
barbecue pit? Is it something we get from Joel? Is it just anything? Is
No.
it one of
you can
those
get it. You can get it
Iwatani
from
things?
Joel. You can get from True Value.
I mean,
What's the
we
source?
have the whole what do you call it? We have the whole here. Teka lang. This is
I've
easier
seen
to
yours,
show.
Joel, and they're like a huge like deal, right? But what about things like those, those little torch type burners meant for
You,
camping?
Mm.
you can start with a
Ooh.
simple butane stove,
Yeah, exactly that type of thing.
portable butane canister, but you can go all the way to having a built-in kitchen at the back of your pickup.
Yeah, or you can just bring what the stuff you use at home, your barbecue pit. Just put it on the back
Yeah.
of the car. Yeah.
Or just charcoal on the
Carl,
ground.
Carl, do you mind sharing the screen for me?
Okay.
Okay. I
There
think
you go.
everything on the category on the right, even without looking at the gear, is something you would need for glamping or so accessories, air compressors, apparel, awning tents, battery chargers, Black Rhino wheels, brakes, camping gear, cargo slide, cooler, crossbar. So I think what I'm trying to say is everything on the left side on gear is probably everything, including the kitchen sink that if you want to outfit the vehicle with, right? Even generators and what Sam was saying, even the cooking gear. The difference probably with having the true values type of gear versus the vehicle dependent is the size and weight. Most of our gear, especially from Adventure Kings, is designed to be stored in a vehicle. So when we talk about space saving, the way it folds, the way a fire pit folds. Like if you bring your big griller, it'll have wheels and a big charcoal pit on the top, right? So that will take the whole space of your car. In the case of Kings or other brands that for that matter is they would design it with the vehicle in mind, so it probably can pack down differently. Like even for tables, right? Weight and size. Usually, overland vehicles or adventure gear packs down differently. So that's where the main difference. But use-wise, definitely the same. So if you're starting out, don't have to go all out on the vehicle dependent ones. Just start with what you have, and then once you progress, once you feel okay, I'm more into cooking, then invest on the cooking gear. Okay, I'm more into sleeping, then invest on the roof tents. Okay, or I'm more into off-roading, then that's how I would recommend going about it. So you don't end up with all of the gear there, but you're not using it.
Yeah. Especially if you go with a group, you can assign who
Yeah.
brings the gear,
Yeah.
and does the cooking, who brings the food, who brings the ice, so that everybody doesn't duplicate each other.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you need to go? You brought up a group, and you guys do this in groups. But what about if you just want to do this by yourself? What are the positives and negatives of that? Let's say going to the Silent Sanctuary. Can you do that all on your own?
Oh yeah.
Yep.
That's
If you go there,
an
is there
easy
any support for
destination.
you in the Silent Sanctuary? Is there any support? Is there someone that will help you, someone that can guide you, or not really? Is it really just by yourself?
To go to it's wasteable. Just type SSRC.
No, no.
and
Sorry.
then-
I guess what I mean is there support staff in that location?
Oh
that
yes, yes.
help?
I mean, there's staff, there's people that clean the facility. Yes, there's an office. So yes.
Okay. Okay.
And
because that seems to be the easiest way to get started is to go to Silent Sanctuary and just try it out, right? Because based on what you said, you don't need hardcore gear.
Yeah.
I assume you can go there for a day, check it out, and see. One thing I'd like to add, just on a personal note, is that my grandparents, who were missionaries, their advocacy was actually blind and deaf schools. So
Wow.
that's kind of got a little place in my heart. They went all around the world doing stuff like that. So I grew up learning Braille. I grew up just being aware of stuff like that. So I think it's very, very cool that you have something like this that supports that school. And so we would
Wow, I
be
didn't know
very,
that.
very
Yeah.
happy to help you with it.
Awesome.
Okay,
That's
so
awesome.
being given that, if I, let's say, next week want to go out and bring my kids, I can do that with a regular car. Basically, we need to bring a cooler, some kind of shade, our own personal stuff. But we could basically handle it just that way, right?
That's right. That's correct.
Okay. Then the next step up, and you explained this to me very well, Joel, was that I think of camping as carrying everything in your backpack, right? But having the car with you means you have slightly better stuff. Maybe you have a little more equipment that makes things a little bit more pleasant. I've seen your toilets. I've seen your showers. You actually have generators. I've seen the lights you put up. That makes a big deal, especially, we're in the Philippines where some people are not comfortable going out camping on their own, somewhere they don't know. How do you feel about security for these things? It's one thing if you guys go in one of your big overland safaris with 10, 20, 30 people, but what if it's a one family thing?
I think that's one aspect that still has to be improved on in the Philippines. For Silent Sanctuary, there's no problem because we have people going around and the location is quite secure. But for other locations, I think that's one aspect that's always been the downside to improve our land travel locations in the Philippines. But with the pandemic that's happening, with the new normal, a lot of people are actually more open to having vehicles come in their property or their private property or resorts. We do have like 2 or 3 guys who've actually approached us and actually asked us, Joel, can you start bringing your groups over to our resorts where you don't need to use the resort, just use our toilets. And then because of this whole movement, and I think that's a good thing because it also, for me, it helps the local resorts, right? There's just a different way of traveling. But you nailed it there. One of the biggest detriments for overlanding is the safety, or our van life culture is not yet there. But it's definitely growing. It's definitely improving. And we're having more and more facilities that have a secure location.
Okay. Have you got any photos of Silent Sanctuary that we can see? Is there
Sure.
something you can share?
Yeah,
Just give us an idea of what it is we would wake up to if we were there.
sure. Give me a second. Yeah.
Just to me, this-
Go ahead.
To me, this seems more like it's not an off-roading thing as much as it is like the old VW combi camper van type thing.
Yeah, it can start from that and then develop into or graduate into off-roading, because half of the fun is really driving the vehicle if there's something with guys and mud and water, until we grow old.
And so we
And
use
you
our
have to clean them.
cars.
One of the most enjoyable things that you will discover is river crossing. So that's the lagoon.
Okay.
It is-
Go ahead,
That's a
Joel.
campsite. So what I'm showing here is some of the shots that were taken in Silent Sanctuary. So there's the lagoon, there's the campsite on the side. It's the clubhouse is on the back. So basically, if you're camped out, you're facing, that's the view you wake up to.
Okay. So how many people can fit in your campsite?
15 vehicles. So that's the balsa. So the kayaks come with the location. So you don't have to rent the kayak once you check into into the property. The location includes all of that. So it's very rustic, more into nature, that type of thing.
Okay.
But
When
you
you do this, are you bumper to bumper cars, or do you
Nope.
have a lot of space around you?
So these are all all each location is only 2 to 3 cars. So right now, if you're going there, we separate you because of the social distancing, all of that. So each location, let's say you're like the 5 of us go, we're on one location, we're separate from the next campsite, and maximum is just 3 groups. So we're well within the what do you call it, the new IATF rules of trying to get safety protocols.
Okay. So so you have, how many campsites do you have?
Right now, we have 4 main sites. It's called the Island, Lakeview, Mountain View, and the Clubhouse. So the Island, Lakeview, and Mountain View are the main sites. The Clubhouse is basically just in front of where the main facilities are. So it's just more like a basic. There's no view there. It's just beside just a big patch of garden. Yeah.
Okay. And the facilities in terms of bathrooms, showers, and so on, is there one common for everything, or is it per campsite, or what?
Right now, it's one. Right now, it's one main. Sorry. Right now, it's one main location. So you can see this video. That's the campsite.
Okay.
So this is one campsite on the left. This is one campsite on the right, and then the island is there on the top side.
Okay. Well, what's the connection with the campground and the school itself?
The school owns the whole property, and it just so happened that there was an underground river after the property of the school. So the government decided that they wanted to pave the road. That's why it suddenly had a road. But for the past, more than 20, 30 years, there was no road. So when the road got developed, that lagoon was there. So we were able to maximize the lagoon. And I said, sayang yung property, why don't we develop it into a campsite? So now the guys who are running it are actually from the deaf school. And again, it's a non-profit. So all of the proceeds that you pay there goes to the school for the support of the deaf.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have any interaction between the school and your guests? Is that a possibility to just help educate people?
Definitely. Part of the briefing for when you go to Silent Sanctuary, we actually start with a briefing of what you're going into, like preserve the community. It's actually run by the deaf, and even in the part of the conservation, because actually the Silent Sanctuary is probably the last patch of land because the school owns a property that has not been logged. So actually those trees that you see on the property, just 2 kilometers in, ubus na yun sa likod. So there's still it's the last patch of really big trees within actually that area, Pawin, that has still not been chopped down. So we always try to educate the guys. It's part of the brief when you go there. Keep it clean. There's no trash here. There's actually 0 COVID cases here. So all of those little things. And at the same time, we try to educate them about the deaf. And we actually teach them a little of sign language because the guys who are teaching are actually the teachers from the deaf school. They're the guys who are running that part.
Okay, good for you, man. Very, very cool. Okay, and you just mentioned the whole COVID thing. What if we were to go there? What will we need to do? Do we need to bring certificates? Do we need to bring letters of invitation?
Yep.
What do we need?
We're purely by booking basis. So when you book, we require a health certificate, and we will give a letter of recommendation to the people who are officially booked, so that when you cross the checkpoints, you can show a letter of recommendation and the health certificate to get to the property. Okay,
so you provide the letter, the guest provides the certification.
That's correct.
Whatever way they can. Okay,
that's correct.
How do you recommend day trips or overnights minimum, or what?
Day trips totally doable. We did that with Nix. We did that with Sam. We did that with Justin.
Good stuff.
Overnights are nice because it's high elevation, so it's not hot at night. You can bring a USB fan, honestly, and I'm like an aircon guy. So as long as the fan runs 24 hours, I'm okay. So I have like 2 little fans on my face, so I sleep properly. But it's cold enough.
But you do need to bring, let's say, if you do spend your time there overnight, you do need to bring your own gear. You need to bring sleeping bags, ground mats, so on.
We used to have those mats, but for safety, yes, we recommend to do that.
Okay. What about wildlife? What's it like?
Wildlife?
Yeah, I mean, whether animals or they're bugs. I don't
there's
mean
probably
partying. I mean,
there's probably a resident to cook.
okay.
Yeah,
So,
there's
no,
wildlife. There is wildlife.
Nothing to worry about. Nothing. Anything to see in particular? Any?
Not like a zoo, but I don't want to scare anybody. We've caught snakes. We've caught joke lang. But there. I mean, it's a wild forest, so
Okay,
anything
okay.
you would see on I know it's still forest. Yeah.
Okay, so
We
nothing
haven't
like
captured
deer.
anything.
Nothing
yeah,
like
there is.
deer. There is. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. No, this sounds awesome. This started out as a conversation about overlanding. It's now a conversation about your place, which is cool. I think it's a great thing to try. Let's go back to the
think we're
overlanding thing
trying.
for a bit. Huh?
Yeah, we're trying. You talk about trying, right?
Yeah,
We just opened our in-city campsite at Overland King. So you're welcome to come over and try the coffee and stay in our backyard for overnight camping. We have showers also and toilets and facilities. We just opened that last week actually. So
Okay, that's where we
welcome to
that's where we
Paranaque.
shot the stuff the last time, right?
Yep.
All right. Well, okay. No, there was someone else who it was a Taal Lake Yacht Club with Peter Capatosto, and he has a similar setup where he basically just told people if you want to bring camping gear and do that, that's fine. But that was really just camping. What I like about what you're doing is just getting out there. And you're right. If you can convince other people to set up similar facilities, then I think it's an awesome thing to do. I think it's not only something that we need at this particular time in history, but also as people. I think this will help us bond better with our families, bond better with whoever we want to bond with, whether it's spiritual, whether it's familial. I think it's a great thing.
Yeah.
So I want to try it. I'm dying to try it. I will need to bring a toilet just to convince the people I want to bring along that, yes, it's workable. So I'm going to have to pick up a toilet from you and have it tested in my house first.
If it's silent sanctuary, may toilet na doon. Don't need a toilet anymore.
Yeah.
And then
no.
just scare your wife there. Just show the shovel. This is your toilet.
That does not work for anybody. So I'm going to have to move that along. But like Sam said, he has brought his kids. You've brought your daughter at least once, you said, Sam.
Yeah.
And I think it's a great thing to do.
Mhm.
Justin and
Yeah,
Nick
it
don't
is.
have kids yet. So, okay. Anything else you wanna add on to this? Anything you want to add to the people that are watching?
I can share with you guys the video that we did early this year, just
Mhm.
before the lockdown. It was the Overland Expo.
Mhm.
And this is just to show people what your vehicle can do and where you can go in
Mhm.
the Philippines. And just the view is spectacular. So let me share my screen.
All right. But this is a large event. This is not the quiet. This is more of a big thing, right? This is not the quiet, peaceful thing we've been talking about. This is a
Joel, do you
large
remember
group.
the numbers on how many rigs joined this event?
What? 200.
Do you remember how many?
Yeah.
200 rigs. This was in February.
Not anymore. I don't think that's gonna happen again, right?
200
At least not
kids,
now.
wow.
All right. Are you ready? I can share the video. And you
It's
guys
there.
can
Go.
I turned off the audio.
Yeah.
So as you can see,
Go ahead, Jess.
the terrain tests your vehicle on highway, lahar, river crossing, and some off-roading as well.
Okay. After this, were you camping out here?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
So it was an overnight thing.
You can
Yes.
opt to stay overnight or for 2 nights.
We stayed for 4 nights.
Oh,
I stayed for one night.
1 night.
And then drove back.
How many people bring their families?
Lots. Joel got his 1-year-old daughter.
Okay. So okay, if you do something like this, is it I guess I would say properly family-oriented thing, or
Definitely. I think overlanding that's one of the differences. It's not an all boys club.
Okay.
It's actually a very clean lifestyle. At least that's how we push it. So families and kids are definitely welcome, and we try to even keep the noises down, at least for most of our groups. No karaoke's at night. We try, okay? Try being the operative.
That's actually a key point. That's actually a key complaint of a lot of people. So
Yeah.
no, it's good that you try. And if you set the tone, it people will follow.
Yeah.
If you set the tone you want, then people will follow. So
Yeah.
very cool. Okay, so basically we've had a quick discussion on overlanding with Sam, with Joel, and with Justin, and with Nix, and G is around somewhere. We have learned that it's a lot more accessible than we expected. We have learned that it is something you can try, whether it's at the Silent Sanctuary, which we really, really want to try, or even Joel has set up a place where you can just kind of pitch your tent and try it out. I've been involved with Sam, with Joel, and with Justin for quite a while. They're very open to bringing other people into this. And it's if you listen to our whole conversation, we are a very family-oriented group. I like the fact that they are as well. So we do not suggest going to things where things just aren't appropriate. So we like the fact that they are making this a very family-oriented, adventure-oriented, nature-oriented thing. They do have stuff that you can spend a huge amount of money on, but we're kind of used to that as well. It's all really cool stuff. I want to set up a truck without my even having a truck. That's Joel's fault. That's Sam's fault. That's partly Justin's fault. That's Nix's fault.
Carl, just trade in one watch. You're good.
We're not having that discussion.
For an old Lexus. Yeah.
We'll take Sam and I will take any of the watches. It's good.
Okay, here's a question. One of the vehicles that I've been looking at lately for fun is just like little Suzuki Jimny, right? Is that a realistic? But that's not that's a 1-person, 2-person thing, right? That's not a family.
Yeah, no.
Right. So you're really talking FJs or pickup
No,
trucks.
I think pickups. I'd say pickups.
Or Fortuner. Okay, Fortuner.
That'll work.
Or just a van, just a Hiace. Or like with Nixon and I were talking about the G50, right? Is the G50 a good
Yeah.
No, sorry. We're talking about the Maxus. We're talking about the Maxus. We're not talking about that.
Okay.
No,
But I think that's where the one Joel was saying, before anything, you have to, it's like managing your expectations. Like, what do you want to do? Because there's like soft road overlanding where the Subarus and like the crossovers can take it. And then there's the more hardcore ones na you really need 4x4. But seeing the trend of people buying 4x2s, it's more than enough for soft overlanding, like soft road overlanding, like just to get to the beach or to to the lake, like to a hill, so to speak. And because like what Sam said, at the end of the day, it's more like what you do at the destination, the barbecue, the food, the camaraderie.
Yes.
If you overnight, yeah.
In the drive
And the drive there.
Drive
you
going
know.
there, yeah.
Like seeing Joel half awake, diba? It's like, sorry, Nix, I'm just...
But you know what? You mentioned about 4x2. You have to be careful with bringing just a 4x2 because there are spots that you'll probably need 4x4 to.
yeah, for sure.
You know, unless the destination is all paved roads.
Or yung parang soft road also?
Yeah, it'd be okay to be in a 4x2, but anytime there is mud and streams involved, better go with a 4.
Definitely.
Stock, yeah.
Nix,
And I've seen...
Nix,
Yes,
when
go.
we went to the Silent Sanctuary, ito true story to. We went with some of the guys who brought an Innova. There's nothing wrong with Innova. There's that driveway that goes into the campsite. It suddenly rained. It was just like 20 meters. 20 meters. Would you believe I had to winch out, bro?
No. Kasi, the clay's hard, The clay's...
But do you still is that still the case, Joel? Or is that paid over already?
That's just... It just so happened that the wheels were quite old. No,
so the grip talaga, yeah.
And then it was right by the fence. It's like one car width. So the car was swinging. The rear was about to swing to the fence. So I said stop. So I brought my car around and just winched the car out for 20 meters, bro.
20 No, but Yeah, and that's why like you want to, if you're gonna do this, it's best to have the 4x4 and not need it, than not have the 4x4 and like.
Well, because this is the case before, way before. If you would go diving in Anilao, and even though there was a road, quite often you would just take the banca because if it rained, you could be stuck for days. You couldn't get out. So, given that, if we're trying to tell people that places like the Silent Sanctuary are a good place to try, we just need to make sure that, if they bring their regular car there or an Innova, is it really an issue? And I guess that's something they would have to discuss with you when they go, right? So, okay. But anyway, so
I have a question for Sam. I think this is my curious question. So, Sam, if we're gonna go overlanding again to start all over, assuming you don't have a rig right now, okay, what would be the rig that you choose for your lifestyle right now to set up?
That's a good question.
From the you mean say if I were a beginner?
Yeah.
No, right now in your stage of life, let's say you have no vehicle right now.
Uh-huh.
Let's say all of the toys are not there. Okay, and then now you're gonna get into this, knowing what you like to do. What vehicle would you choose?
Well, I would choose something comfortable because I'm in my 50s. I don't want it too bumpy. And maybe
Brand.
Are we allowed
Joel-
to give brands?
Joel talaga.
Yes, of course you are.
Talaga.
Brand.
Well, I'll probably, I'll stick to Toyota. It's a
That's
low maintenance.
Land
And,
Cruiser.
yeah,
when you say, I don't know, when you're saying comfort, what level of comfort are you talking about? Are you talking about not a pickup truck?
Lincoln Town Car Comfort.
Well, yeah, something that you won't get irritated coming home after after like maybe an overnight or 2 nights, camping and.
Okay, would you be irritated by something like a Fortuner?
Depends on how it's set up. The Fortuner, if you're talking about stock suspension, yeah, maybe I modify it a bit because.
Okay, would you be modifying it for comfort or modifying it for where you're going? Because I'm coming from the point of view. I'm coming from the point of view not for hardcore. Okay, I'm coming from the point of view of most people who might not go deep into this like you would.
Yeah, there are springs out in the market that are not as hard, and there are ways to tweak the leaf spring to make it comfortable, and then you have longer travel suspension, and so it's totally different from the original setting. And and the load rating, you can tweak it so that you're not going to carry a ton of stuff, and so you can soften the ride a bit, and yeah, that's doable.
Are these when you say tweaking? Are you talking about can you tweak by changing one part or two parts, or are you talking about changing every time you want to tweak it? I mean, are you talking about changing springs every time, or are you talking about adjusting those springs?
No,
Or adjusting the shocks?
you change it one time and it stays there.
Okay.
You remove the what's that, the leaf.
the leaf
Joe,
bar.
explain this.
The leaf bar.
Well,
Yeah.
if it's a pickup, you change the leaf spring. If it's the Fortuner coil spring, nice one. Go ahead.
Bar.
Yeah. So you can because the Toyotas example I learned from somebody that the LC200, the Dubai version and the local version are different because of the spring they use, because the local version ensures that you can seat 10 people inside.
Yes.
So
Correct.
they put in a tougher spring in the back. Whereas the Dubai version is sitting straight and not lifted in the back because it's geared for comfort.
Yes.
So So those are the things that you can tweak just to get over the factory specs that's supposed to be 10-seater and end up being giving you a stiffer ride. So those things.
Would you need to change tires and wheels with that? I mean, I know we would want to anyway, but do you technically need to change those if you change your suspensions?
No, if you don't intend to get on more difficult terrain, the stock all-terrain tires will be ample to handle a little off-roading. Of course, you need to have some off-roading training, how to use that other shift knob and or press the right buttons. So it's easy as long as you know the basics. Somebody there to teach you what to do and what not to do.
Okay. Okay.
Um,
Okay. Well,
I have
thank
a
you very much,
question.
everyone. Yes. Who's that? Justin?
Yeah, me.
Yes. Shoot.
Jared.
Oh, yes. Oh, you're back. Hey.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I'm back. How much do you need more?
Sorry, we lost you.
Okay, we've lost G again. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay. So basically, he's frozen. Okay. So anyway, we're gonna wrap up.
Okay.
We're gonna say thank you very, very much to everyone. I find it on one hand, it's hugely eye-opening. On the other hand, there's just so much more I want to talk about and learn.
Let's do a part two.
I know it's terrible. You guys are really, really bad. And you think I'm bad? Ha! You guys are worse. Okay, I'm gonna get you into watches.
One watch. One watch.
Ha ha ha! I'm gonna get even. Okay. Anyway, there. You know what we're shooting as we speak. We're actually shooting the first Seiko Tubataha watch.
Yeah, there we go. Now I gotta ask questions.
I can't
We gotta be part of that.
Call me quickly because they're going. But anyway, okay. So thank you very, very much. We started out discussing this a couple of years ago with Joel and with Sam and with Nix and with Justin about the whole overlanding phenomena. I wasn't that familiar with it. I am now. I haven't done it at the level that they have. I want to. But what I want to do is bring more people into it that aren't gearheads, that aren't car guys. I want to bring people that are just family people. That I think that we live in a world where people don't see the stars the way we did as kids. People don't see animals and trees the way we did. Yeah, I know. It's. I remember being in 100 Islands and seeing a sky filled with stars, right? And our kids don't see that anymore. So things like setting up something as something like the Silent Sanctuary to me is the coolest thing.
And if I may add something,
yes.
Here's the kicker. It's low risk for COVID.
There you go. And the more we do it, the less we'll have dumb things like that, right? So, okay, sorry. Anyway, so thank you very, very much. We have been with the Cars Casually team. We have been, okay, I haven't identified everybody, so I shall. We have been with Sam Liuson, who is the president of Black Rhino Wheels Philippines. We've been with Justin Oy, who's the marketing head for Black Rhino. We've been with Joel Pedro, who is the chief adventure officer for what Justin calls Overland Kongs. Not kings. So now we call Joel the King Kong of overlanding because Justin didn't spell his name correctly. So Justin, you are now at Philip calling. So okay, so Gerard is now G and Joel is now King Kong. So there we go. Okay, so thank you very, very much, Joel.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Justin. Thank you very much, Sam. This has been the Cars Casually team with G and with Nix and our very friendly guests. Thank you very, very much. We will do this again where we actually go to what Joel is talking about because I want to go myself. Thank you very much. Have a good day. Have a good week. Stay safe. Be kind, everyone, please. Thank you very, very much.